welcome to Maul More with Libby and Kat. Sorry this series is a little bit delayed, but someone was in Disneyland flirting with the Mandalorian. But there is no one I love chatting about Star Wars with more than Kat.
Thank you.
So I knew we had to do this series together. If you don't
Yay!
know me, hi, I'm Libby. I'm a Star Wars cosplayer and content creator who loves all things Star Wars animation.
My name's Kat. I'm Libby's bestie. You probably see me in like most of Libby's vlogs and just like popping up in videos and posts and stuff like that. But my name's Kat. I go by cosplay with Kat on social media, but I'm mostly active on Instagram and Twitter, especially Twitter right now with all coming out every week. I'm kind of like doing live reactions, talking about it with you all. So that's super fun. So you can follow me at cosplay with Kat, and that's Cat with a C, like the animal. But yeah, I'm to get into the last couple of weeks worth of episodes with Libby right now.
Oh, that's amazing. Your Twitter is absolutely the best.
It's actually like it's a bit ridiculous, but just like whatever thoughts I have regarding Star Wars, the world just gets to see them.
So episode 1 had such an amazing, strong start, but I think what surprised me the most is it's focusing more on the criminal side of the galaxy, so much more than anyone expected. I feel like that was what the marketing all was, saying like it's going to be Maul's criminal syndicate, but then everyone thought it was going to be showing a completely different side of Maul, but we definitely got something that we haven't seen that much of with Maul before and that we didn't really expect.
Yeah, I completely agree. Now that you say it, I'm like, yeah, the marketing really did say that, but for some reason it hasn't I necessarily expected, even though they are giving us what they said.
Yeah, definitely. Because they're like, oh, it's going to be Maul's criminal syndicate. And I think we were all expecting sort of a bit more of a Clone Wars Maul. Yeah, a bit more of a Sith.
Yeah, like Sith. I was kind of expecting Dathomir. Yeah, I mean, like we'll get into this as we discuss each episode. But like the tone of this show, especially because right now I'm doing a Clone Wars rewatch. I'm like halfway through season 3 right now. It's giving me whiplash. It feels like such a step up in terms of like violence and everything, and yeah, it was kind of like almost took me off guard. I was like, oh, we're really doing this, we're seeing everything.
It does feel like Clone Wars aged up a little bit, like people who've watched Clone Wars as kids and teenagers, and that's aimed at progressing with the age group.
Definitely. I mean, like in a way, I'm just we both are, we're such Bad Batch lovers. I feel like Bad Batch did have some scary parts. It definitely in season 3, but it's different. It's dark in like a different way. I mean, it's like, whoa, hang on, take me back to the good old days of the Bad Batch. I want to see just characters being happy.
Yeah. What are some of the differences between Maul and Bad Batch?
Yeah, I think for me, a big one is, I guess, the whole tone of the show and just like the kind of the theme of both shows are just so different. Like I think very much like lead dynamics or like father and daughter kind of relationships, whereas in Maul, I guess we do have it a little bit with Lawson Island bit, but it's very different. It's a much that like sweet family, caring, happy, loving vibe. And in Maul, it's very much more kind of sad. And I think of the plot and the kind of shown on screen is just so different.
Yeah, definitely. I think in Bad Batch, especially when they're like working with Sid and stuff, it's more like, oh, here's some fun criminal adventures. And then more like, oh no, here's like, we're committing crimes here.
We're committing crimes.
We're murdering people.
Everything. Yeah, definitely.
What we definitely knew was going to be the highlight of Maul going into it for us was Devon. So what were some of your first impressions of Devon?
I think it's very interesting. Devon, compared to maybe like Ezra or Ahsoka or Omega, I mean, I know she's a bit older and everything, but I think like, at least for me, at the moment, I personally don't feel quite the same connection with her. Like, I do love her. She's definitely one of my favorites. But compared to like Omega or Ahsoka, I feel like I bonded with them more. I don't know why that is. Maybe because our attention as the viewer is kind of being split, like Devon, also Maul, but also Lawson. There's almost 3 protagonists in a way, like 3 kind of stories that we're following. So my attention is kind of being split rather than having one character that I'm rooting for the whole way through. So in a way, I feel like I don't have the same close connection with her as I do maybe other animated Star Wars protagonists. I think it's a little bit hard to get inside her head. Sometimes I'm kind of like, I don't know what she thinks.
Yeah,
I know that's just me.
Definitely. No, I think she could. I like Devon because she's the generation that's like Ahsoka and Ezra and Cal, and with those types of characters, they could go so many ways. I think with Ahsoka, you always pretty much do know that she's going to stay with the light side because that's so important to her character. But
Yeah.
it's interesting to see her forging her own path away from the Jedi.
Mm.
But with Cal and Ezra, there's a bit more of a okay, without that structure of the Jedi Order,
Mm.
someone who's like half trained could go either way to the light side or the dark side. I think with Devon, we're sort of waiting to find that out. She's got a great
Yeah, it's a bit more like,
master, but
ambiguous.
it's like, what decisions? I support women's rights and women's wrongs, but what's she gonna do here?
Oh, 100%. I think, yeah, maybe we just need more time with her. I think also, like, in general, I thought Maul is the main character, but I kind of thought we would be following, like, we'd be focusing on just him a lot more. So I think it's interesting that we do have these other characters and other perspectives that we're kind of spending more time with other characters tonight.
Yeah, and I think Maul just on his own, if you're just following Maul and just rooting for Maul, then it's a little bit more difficult to show how he's actually kind of quite morally grey. Like if you're only
Yeah.
following Maul, you might root for him a little bit more, but showing Devon and showing Lawson, it's good for the show because it makes
Yeah.
you question Maul a little bit more.
Yeah, definitely. I would agree.
A big theme of the show is questioning what is a Jedi's role at this time and what sort of obligations do they have in society when they used to have this really important role, but now they're viewed as traitors. Do
Definitely.
Jedi
Yeah.
sort of follow the same morals as they used to in a galaxy that's turned their back on them a little bit?
Yes, 100%. And not to bring it back to Bad Batch again. When I was watching the episodes today, I was like, oh, in a way, it very much reminded me of kind of Devon reminded me a lot of Omega, wanting to do more, wanting to kind of help people, wanting to use the ability had that kind of thing. And then Devon's math kind of reminded me of Hunter, kind of being like, no, stay low, we need to stay safe. It kind of like reminded me of that. And I think it's different generations, and they're different perspectives on what you should do in that situation.
Yeah, 'cause I guess the sort of the Jedi and the clones do go through the same thing of what
Yeah.
is their
Oh my
place
God.
in the galaxy now that
Definitely.
there's no structure for them anymore. And the Bad Batch do that in such an amazing way. But I think the
Yeah.
Jedi have a much more sort of morally complex view of
Yeah.
it. In the sort of the clones, it's the practicalities of, well, there's just nothing for us to do anymore. But then the
Mm.
Jedi, they've been raised in this morality of, oh, you have to help people and do the right thing.
Yeah, that's really interesting. And I think the way that they could extend that further is they bought some into more Shadow Lord. Come on, and you sound we
Oh,
need
he's
some
such a
clone
clones
characters.
girly.
As yeah, but no, that's a really interesting comparison. And I think I like the show's taking that direction because I think it can kind of, if Devon does in some way join more or to dark side or something, it kind of gives that background setup for why she could make that decision.
Yeah, I feel like I have no concept of whether that is a possibility or not. I don't know whether it's just people that feel like she
Yeah.
could be based off a character from the extended universe or
Yeah.
not. There's just
Maybe we're completely wrong.
yeah,
Maybe she's
yeah.
just gonna stay the
Yeah,
whole time.
maybe she's gonna be fine. I feel like guys go back and forth every day on whether
Yeah,
it's
I really,
likely
yeah,
or not. Sometimes it feels like the obvious option for the series,
yeah,
and then other times I feel like no, that's not gonna happen. Or maybe it
yeah.
just needs more time. Maybe it doesn't happen this season. Maybe it happens next season.
That's true.
Like that's something that I think a fall to the dark side you really need
Mm,
time to see. But
yeah, to show
unless
that.
something bad happens, I feel like
I was
if
actually
Devon
waiting
falls to the
for
dark
something
side, it has to be something drastic.
I was waiting for something bad to happen to her master, this episode. I don't
Yeah,
know.
I definitely feel like that could be coming. I feel like if anything does happen to turn Devon to the dark side,
Mm,
it would be Eeko-Dio Daki dying, which I'm not
yeah,
trying to manifest. I think he's a really nice guy. I feel like he's really grown on me, and I just have such a soft
yeah,
spot for him.
yeah,
You just know
definitely.
those characters where it's like, I feel like you were put in here to die.
What I'd love though is some flashbacks to like, before Order 66. I'd love to see a bit of a younger Devon kind of
Oh,
being his Padawan. Like
that could be fun.
I think I need to see
Well,
some
not
more
fun.
of how did they get to where they are now.
I feel like it's piecing together of like Eeko-Dio Daki death scene is gonna play in the same episode as the Order 66 flashback. Like, is that
Oh
I
my
don't know if
god.
that feels like the obvious choice or I don't know. Is that just
Destroy me.
too obvious to happen? Or it just feels like a very classic Star Wars animation thing to do. I don't
It
know.
does. It really does.
I can almost picture it like a dramatic death scene, and then at the same time, there's a flashback to him saving Devon during Order 66.
Oh my goodness. That would be amazing to see, but at the same time I do not want to.
Maybe it's just like the High Republic fan in me, but I love to see young Master Eeko-Dio Daki. The way that they show a lot of some of the Jedi that you see in the films, in the High Republic books, and like this was them in their prime, in their younger era.
You need that.
Top 10 things that are never gonna happen ever, but some sort of young Master Eeko-Dio Daki spin-off, please.
Maybe a book, you never know. Like they could just
Maybe.
read all about him.
A comic, please, at least, maybe. Talking of one of the other sort of three main characters that you mentioned, Captain Lawson has also become a bit of a fandom favourite so far.
I'm laughing because I feel like I cannot see that man's face and not think about the fact that everyone is in love with him.
Yeah, definitely. So what are you thinking about Captain Lawson so far?
Oh my god. Okay, first of all, I love the kind of perspective that his character kind of like we've not exactly had that kind of point of view in a show before, the kind of law but not empire, kind of just the more everyday point of view.
Yeah, definitely. When I first saw him in episode 1, I thought he was sort of representing what people's general views of the Empire were at the time. I think we've sort of come to realise it is a little bit more personal for him, but I think he's a good representation of the Empire is slowly taking over, but it's not quite everywhere just yet. Systems have their own structures, own laws that were doing pretty well, and then the Empire is making things worse.
Yeah, I think for me, there's two parts of his character that I find very interesting. The first one is his wife. Really intrigued to like know about that and how they have such different perspectives and how that all played out. It's a very interesting dynamic. The conflict between the General Public and the Empire is enough to break up families, and she's now on the other side of the galaxy doing Empire stuff. Like I think that's fun to find out more about that. Hopefully in later episodes.
Yeah.
And then also the fact that he's a father is just very interesting to me because it kind of gives everything he does that more personal edge. He's not just doing this for himself and his own benefit, he's thinking of his son.
Yeah, I like that. It adds a good balance to the show of like there's sort of this really high stakes plot line with Maul, and then he's going home seeing his son, and it's like just shows the real contrast in the galaxy of the time that there is these like absolutely crazy lightsaber fights and police chases happening, but then at the end of the day people are still going home to their families.
Yes, definitely.
And that's just such a real human side to the show that I really like.
Yeah, I think that's the same with like Andor was incredible and so successful, is that it really was just like real people and you could really identify with them.
Yeah.
So yeah, I hope things get better for Ryland in the upcoming. I feel like things are really going to get worse. So I'm like, can someone please give this kid a break? Give him a home cooked meal. This kid is just abandoned 23 out of 24 hours of the day.
It's so interesting that you said Andor, because that's what I thought of as well, of being like the other show that does that really well. Specifically with Cyril, that I think Cyril was sort of praised for being a good representation of these evil systems are made of just normal people, and so you got to see him going home, interacting with his mum, eating cereal, and showing that like behind these horrible evil systems of the Empire it's just normal people. And then Maul is doing a similar sort of thing to that. One of the biggest things that are also holding back these horrible oppressive systems, it's not just Luke Skywalker in an X-wing with a lightsaber. It's just some normal guy who's stopping the
Yes, I
Empire,
love
coming to his
that.
planet, and then just going home to his family.
I'm glad that Star Wars is giving us more of that, like in the more recent shows we've had. We have had like Jedi, but we've also had those more grounded parts. I feel like a lot of people could relate to.
I feel like comparing More Shadow Lord to specifically the animated shows like Rebels and The Bad Batch, the heart of that show is really the found family. And I think something that
Yeah.
makes Maul feel quite dark and cold is there's a bit of a lack of a found family element that I think does work very well. I think about Maul trying to get Devon as his apprentice, there's just something that
Yeah.
feels a lot more sinister about that
I was
than
literally about to say the
any
word sinister. Yeah.
yeah, than any other master and apprentice duo that's outside of the normal Jedi structure. A lot of when you see
Yeah.
the master and apprentice sort of dynamic post Order 66 is like, oh hey, I just found this random kid. Guess I'll adopt them, train them as a Jedi. But the which is just sort of always how it works. That's the dynamic, and there's always sort of like, oh, a little bit of reluctance, a little bit of the, I'm thinking of like Ezra and Kanan. Kanan's a little bit reluctant, but then he grows as a person. They help each other.
A little bit like Crosshair and Omega, dare I
Yes,
say.
yes. But then there's something, it just sort of completely reimagines that dynamic as there's no sort of accidental found family element to it. Maul is actively seeking an apprentice, not even because that's the Sith way that he's following. He's just seeking out a young, force-sensitive person who can serve him. And it's
just for his own personal gain. Like he doesn't really care about her or anyone.
And I just feel like it's completely changing a dynamic that we see a lot in Star Wars, but a completely different view of it. That is another thing that adds to making the show feel so dark.
I know we were talking about Lawson, and you cannot talk about Lawson without his D2.
Yeah, I can't believe I forgot about Two Boots.
Oh my god, he actually could be my favorite character. Like, I'm not even kidding. Every time he's on screen, I'm grinning. He's so funny and cute, and like he has those Bad Batch vibes that I've been missing.
Yeah. I feel like he might need a little bit more time to grow on me. The first couple of episodes, I didn't know really where he was going as a character, and now we're getting later on in the series, I'm starting to understand him a little bit more, but I feel like it's taken me a little bit of time to sort of get there with Two Boots, but he's definitely a good character that's a good little duo with Lawson.
So lovable. I think right off the bat, I was just like, I love that bit where like obviously Lawson's always drinking coffee, and I love the bit where like Two Boots brings him coffee, and then he has a mug himself, and he's like, can't drink coffee because I'm a droid, but I'm just gonna stand here and hold this cute.
Oh,
yeah. That's when I fell in love with him. And
there is something in him that's a little bit C-3PO sort of coded, so I should have known that you would love him.
C-3PO C-3PO and tech, but like a little bit silly goofy.
Kind of a little bit. It's got a bit of sarcasm in him, so it could be a little bit like K2SO, but if he followed rules.
Yes, and also I just thought of that droid. Sorry, I'm bringing it back to the Bad Batch again. In Faster, like the KO, the droid who's like really jokey and sarcastic, and he just thinks everyone's stupid. Yes! I love that guy, and I think he has that vibe.
Definitely. Star Wars always have to have an iconic droid.
Oh, completely. Oh, Spybot, the really, really scary, sinister little guy. I love him, but he's so scary. Yeah. I love that guy.
I found it a little funny. It's like when you can almost sort of pick up on the words that he's saying.
He's so menacing.
He sounds kind of like an evil version of an Animal Crossing villager. Like Animal Crossing, I think you can a lot of times almost kind of understand what they're saying. Or like with Chopper, you can almost pick out a word sometimes. I feel like actually when I've listened to Spybot a little bit more, you start picking up on what words he's actually saying, and he's kind of funny. I can't remember anything specifically, but it's something that I've been starting to pay attention to of like,
Yeah.
oh wait, I can actually understand those words.
Yeah, no, he's so fun. He's so scary. Love him. I think him and Chopper, they ever teamed up, like the galaxy would just be over as we know it.
Yeah, yeah. Something that's been so interesting to see play out in the series is just Maul as a criminal
Yeah.
mastermind. I feel like right from the first episode, he's relying on Lawson to not contact the
Yeah, that
Empire.
is really interesting.
And that's just something that I thought was that level of manipulation, kind of,
Mm.
but beyond that, having that
He's like
perception.
three moves
Yeah, literally. He's playing, what is
ahead
it
of
called?
everyone else. And like
Yeah.
he's playing his own game. He has it all thought out. He just knows what he's gonna do, probably before even they know.
Yeah, Molly's playing 4D chess
He
with time
actually
travel.
is. That's so true. Yeah, he's got it all thought
And
out.
like he's picking up on Lawson not immediately contacting the Empire, and then he's playing that out
Hmm.
of if Lawson isn't contacting the Empire, then why, and how does that factor into his plans? And that's something that makes the series interesting is sort of if Maul is 3 steps ahead, you're trying to be there with him and figure out what
Oh.
he's doing. It's kind of that I've just thought of. It's like Thrawn
Oh my God,
when
yeah.
Thrawn
Thrawn
is
and Maul team up would
yeah,
actually be unreal.
it would
They
destroy
both
the
wanted the
galaxy.
same thing. I mean, one of them would probably stab the other in the back at some point, but they would be an amazing team.
Yeah, 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 definitely. But that's something that makes Thrawn so interesting and so scary as a
Hmm.
character is the way he's always
Yeah,
3 steps ahead of everyone and has a plan that even the
yeah.
viewer doesn't know or the people around the character
Hmm.
don't know. And that's something that makes a really good Star Wars villain much more. It's scarier than
It's
having a
more menacing. It's
lightsaber,
more,
is having some sort of
yeah, because you're
evil
like, wow, they're
plan.
like not only skilled and good at fighting, but they're also very intelligent.
It's also so cool that I sort of didn't really consider until the series that not a lot of people know who Maul
Oh
is.
my God,
That
yes.
because Lawson doesn't know who Maul is
True.
at all, and also all of the criminal people they know Maul the criminal, not Maul the Sith.
He has like some crazy backstory that no one's aware of.
Yeah, yeah,
7 seasons of the Clone Wars worth of lore that no one knows.
yeah. No one knows the insane Maul lore.
No, that's true. I hadn't thought of that.
Yeah, because they search Mull up in the database like, oh, he's just some criminal.
Hmm.
But and maybe they know that maybe they eventually do all see that he's a
Yeah,
Sith as well, but no one sort of fully knows the
yeah,
story of Maul, which is really interesting and adds to sort of the even though we know it,
yeah.
it still adds to interest to the character because there's sort of mystery around him from everyone else.
No, definitely. I think actually I mean, we kind of mentioned this already, but I kind of thought this show would link more to more story, like almost kind of feels separate from a lot of it, which I think is surprising. I mean, it may get brought in more later on, but I kind of thought we'd have like more ties here and that kind of thing, which we haven't really had.
I feel like it even feels quite separate to what criminal underworld things we've
Yeah.
seen so far. Still feels very separate to the sort of syndicates that we see in Outlaws, and also feels very separate to even the criminal syndicate Maul that we see in
Mm.
Solo. Either direction on the Maul timeline is a very different
He's like,
version of Maul to what we're seeing
yeah,
currently. It's a little bit of a bridge between I don't even know how to describe Clone Wars Maul, but feral Clone
yeah,
Wars Maul to businessman Solo
yeah.
Maul, and then going Maul at the end of his life in Rebels,
Mm.
going back to something completely different again, and they found a perfect point on the Maul timeline to sort of do so many interesting things
Yeah,
with.
yeah. I'm like especially if I know we're getting a second season, but especially if we get even, I wonder how far down the more timeline we will within the show. If that makes sense.
Yeah, that'd be interesting.
Could it lead right up to like Solo, depending how long
Ooh,
this
that could
stands
be
for?
interesting. Yeah, there is still some room for
Yeah,
development with Maul.
we've got like quite a close kind of set of character. Like we've got a group of characters. We've really only had like one kind of planet, one location. So it'll be interesting to see how it kind of gets expanded from there.
Yeah, and those are all our thoughts on Maul Lord episode 1. We were actually supposed to talk about the first 2 episodes today, but we chatted so much I decided to split it into 2 episodes, so our episode 2 chat will be coming soon. Please let us know in the comments what you've thought of Maul Lord so far, and subscribe because we'll be covering the rest of the episodes as they come out. Thank you so much for watching or listening wherever you found this, and we'll see you next time for another episode of Maul More. May the Force be with you.